All right, the Senate voting late in the night to send another $95 billion in foreign aid out to the rest of the world, the bulk going at least $60 billion to Ukraine, $14 billion to Israel, $9 billion in humanitarian assistance, $5 billion to Indo-Pacific countries like Taiwan. Your money just going everywhere. 22 Republican senators, including McConnell, helping Democrats pass this bill. The total vote 70 to 29. The Senate voting to effectively give away any leverage that Republicans had to actually secure the southern border and go further than the kind of fake border security bill that collapsed last week. Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt, who was a no vote, tweeting nearly every Republican senator under the age of 55 voted no on this America Last bill. 15 out of 17 elected since 2018 voted no. Things are changing, just not fast enough. Senator Schmitt is in his first term, and he joins us now. And sir, it's good to have you on. I want to start. There's very few things in Washington that you find Washington really cares about. But one thing I notice is when they can't spend a lot of money and when they can't send our money all over the world, they really start going crazy. And I want to know why that is.
It's a total disconnect with where the American people are at, Rob. It is amazing. I've been in the Senate now for 14 months, and all roads lead to Ukraine. It's remarkable that the amount of time we've spent on this, on time that we could have spent, dealing with issues that affect the American people, whether it's, being energy dominant again, or most, that's been in focus recently. How about securing our southern border? I think people are tired of being lectured by people like Joe Biden about the sanctity and the sovereignty of other countries' borders when he's refused to secure our own border. It's a total disconnect. And so I think that's what we're up against. As I mentioned in that tweet, I do think the good news here is that the people have been elected recently who are closest to the people. A new generation sees this for what it is, which is this bill is a Ukraine first, America last bill. And I hope when it goes over to the House, Speaker Johnson said it's dead on arrival. I hope that's actually true.
Why is it that you think? I mean, McConnell last week told everybody to vote no on this border bill when it became obvious of what it was. McConnell stood up and kind of in that moment kind of did what we all thought was right. And then he flips this week and he's all in on this bill that totally cuts the border out and if this were to go to the House and pass, the Republicans would lose all of their leverage to kind of secure our southern border. What is Mitch McConnell doing?
Well, I can only surmise that this was always about Ukraine. I think that, think about this. The Israel aid, which has pretty broad support, actually, was held hostage by the Ukraine money. I think some people were trying to add the border stuff on there as a fig leaf for their vote, thinking it would have brought more people on board. But those border provisions were a total disaster. And I contend that Joe Biden has all the authority he needs right now to secure the southern border. He has the same laws that President Trump had. He could reinstate remain in Mexico. He could stop abusing parole. If he did those things, we'd have a secure border. And this was the leverage that we had. This Ukraine money was the leverage that we had to see if Joe Biden would actually secure the border. And he's not interested in it. It's not in their DNA. They're an open borders party now. And so when that went away, then, of course, that terrible bill fell apart. Literally the next day, they went right to the Ukraine, funding bill, which tells you all you need to know about what this whole thing was about all along.
Here was Biden earlier this afternoon. Here's what he said. And, of course, he invokes Trump here.
Supporting this bill is standing up to Putin. Opposing it is playing into Putin's hands. For Republicans in Congress who think they can oppose funding for Ukraine and not be held accountable, history is watching. History is watching. History is watching. Failure to support Ukraine at this critical moment will never be forgotten. Trump gave an invitation to Putin to invade some of our allies, NATO allies. He said if an ally didn't spend enough money on defense, he would encourage Russia to, quote, do whatever the hell they want, end of quote. Can you imagine a former president of the United States saying that?
Aside from the ridiculous, he's trying to, dramatize Trump's jest comments where he's trying to basically motivate, our NATO allies that don't pay enough into their defense. He's trying to motivate them to pay more, which has been very effective. We talked about it last night. But again, I go back to the fact that you never hear these politicians in our country never get this passionate about domestic issues. But listen to him talk about how crucially important it is And, I don't have anything against Ukraine. I mean, if they want to do that. But, I mean, there's none of that urgency here in this country for any of our domestic issues.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, by the way, he keeps referencing history. The other thing that's history is his memory. I mean, he couldn't recall when he was vice president. He's not competent mentally to stand trial. That's the special prosecutor's words, not mine. So, again, I think, this feels a lot like somebody's great-grandpa yelling at everybody. I mean, it just comes off as totally out of touch. And you're right. Look, the American people want somebody who's going to fight for them. They're making less now compared to what inflation is. Their jobs have been shipped overseas. Everything's more expensive. They go to the grocery store. You got illegal immigrants coming over this country, collecting health care, welfare benefits, and they want somebody that's going to stand up for them. Not their first instinct is to lecture them about how their hard-earned tax dollars need to go to another country. And so I think we're right about this. The American people are with us. Joe Biden is out of touch with this whole issue, as he has with trying to brand Bidenomics as something that's working. Right. The truth is, he's underwater on all these issues. He thinks this is some sort of victory, but the American people see it for what it is, which is a boondoggle.
Yeah, no other country in the world spends all of its time trying to figure out ways to spend money in other countries. You don't see this from any other nation in the world. It's fascinating to watch, and again, it's wild to see how crazy they go when they can't spend money and when they can't send money to other places. Makes you think. Senator Eric Schmitt, we appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much.
Anytime, Rob.